Hi sewing pals. I've had a couple of people asking about the dress in the Rula ragdoll, so I'm just going to go through it quickly. I'm not going to do a full in-depth tutorial. It's basically just to help out a few people who might have got a little bit stuck with it. So I've got my pieces cut out and I have overlocked all the edges. If you don't have an overlocker, you could zigzag the edges. There's not a problem at all. So as you can see, I've just overlocked these, and on the sleeves I've put the lace trim, and also on the hem of the dress we've got the little lace trim on there. You don't really need to see me do that. So I've got all my pieces ready. I've got the front bodice, which was cut on the fold. Basically, cutting on the fold means putting the piece of material, the pattern piece against the fabric with the fold and the arrows to go to the fold part there, so that when you open it out, you've got the front yoke. So that's the front yoke. These are the back pieces, which are basically half of that and an extra bit that folds over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to join these to the shoulder seams of the front yoke. So that's just a case of laying those on top and stitching across those shoulder seams. So I'm just going to stitch across these two seams here and here. So I'm back tacking at the front and at the end. I'm on my industrial machine, so I haven't got anything fancy on here like snips for my threads, which is pretty fast. Oh, by the way, I will just say Happy New Year to you all. I'll cut that off. So now you can see we've got the yoke and the shoulders attached front and back. So now what we've got is the sleeves, which I've gone ahead and done this one, but you only need to see me do it once, so I'm going to show you on this one. I've overlocked all the way around the edge, put the trim on as I said, and I'm going to lay this down and take the elastic. This is to ruche it up to make the cuffs. So I'm going to lay the elastic parallel to the seam here, and I'm going to start stitching, do a few stitches, back tack, and then with the needle down, make sure you do it with the needle down because you can pull it out, stretch the elastic and just hold it either side and stitch. Now you can get your hand behind now, stretching your elastic and stitch all the way across. If you want to pin it and you feel better pinning it, do it. Take it out and cut off the threads and the elastic. So when that's relaxed, you can see you've now got your gathered edge there. So we're going to put it right sides together and stitch down that seam. So we're lining up the elastic and the edge with the trim on, and we're going to stitch down that seam. So back tack, put your edges together and stitch. There we go. Take that out, snip your seams. Get rid of all your loose threads. So now what we're going to do is, I haven't got my pattern piece with my instructions, so all I'm going to do is the top curve bit there, this bit, I'm going to gather. So I'm going to put my stitch width up to about a 5, and because it's just a doll's dress, I'm not going to do any measurements or anything, but I'm basically just going to stitch quite close to the edge, all the way around there. That curve bit, take it out, leave a tail on, do that on both sleeves, and then I can gather those up to make it fit into the armhole. So exactly the same on this one, just on the curve. So that's my sleeves done and my yoke. Now, this is probably the bit that most people get confused with. So I've joined up the back seam, so it's all in one loop, as you can see there. I'm going to open that out and make sure that that seam is at the back. So fold that, so you've got it in 4. So you can see now I've got that seam down the middle and I've got 2 edges there. Fold those edges together, and the pattern tells you to cut a semicircle 1 inch in and 1.5 inches down. Now I'm going to just guesstimate this because I haven't got any measures with me, but you can see I'm just cutting about 1 inch in and 1.5 inches down and curving that seam. So you can see that's what we've cut out there. So that makes a little semicircle on each piece. So when I open this out, I've now got somewhere to set the sleeves into. So this piece at the front here is going to be the front dress, and the piece with the seam at the back is going to be the back. So while we've got it on gathering, which is basically this stitch length 5, I'm going to stitch across those 2 pieces. I'm doing the back first. Well, you might be wondering why I'm doing this in Harry Potter fabric. I'm actually making a little dress for my granddaughter for Rula for Christmas. I know it's a little bit after Christmas, but she won't mind. So I'm stitching across the front now, take that out. Right, so now what you need to do, on the back, take the thread, which is the bobbin thread, and just gather that up gently, don't pull too hard. So for some reason the bobbin thread's always easier to gather than the top one. So gather the other side in, just pull those threads so that when you hold that up, you've got your gather. Now what you need it to fit is, that's the front, so you need it to fit this piece of the dress. So I'm just going to measure that, and that's just about spot on. So do the same now for the back pieces, but what you need to do first is just fold in about 1 centimetre on each of the back pieces, wrong sides together. You could press that if you want to, I'm just going to finger press it. So fold in 1 centimetre and overlap those 2 at the back, and just put a stitch or 2 to hold that in place. It just means that you can get the dress over her head and it still opens there. So at the base of that, do a couple of stitches, put my stitch length back to about a 3 or a 2.5, whichever's best for you. And there you've got your front and back. And then you need to make the back fit that piece. So I'm going to gather that up now, and then we can put it together. So it could also be the putting the sleeves in that people might get stuck on as well. So I'll show you that. Right, so again, bobbin thread, just pull it gently all the way across until that looks like it will fit, and just put it against it just to check. Yeah, and then we can stitch those in, and then we've got our armholes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the front down, so the front is the one without the seaming, right sides up, take the front of the dress and just starting at the seam, stitch a few stitches, back tack, hold it all in place. If you want to pin it, again, just pin it, and then stitch across all those gathers. Oops, I've knocked my elastic off, but I don't think I need it now. Right, so now you can see, I know this is the inside, but you've got your dress there attached at the body. Do the same on the back. Lay the back down, right sides up, and stitch a few stitches, back tack, hold it all in place and stitch across. Or you could pin it or clip it again. I've done so many of these, I don't find I need to. And and we have got quite a few girls in our family, so I've made quite a few little girls' dresses, which is very similar techniques. There we go. And then back tack at the end. So now if I hold that up, you can see you've got the beginnings of little dress. So now you might be better off using pins now, but we've got our sleeves. What we're going to do is turn the sleeves to the right side, and you've got this underarm seam here. Pin that, or clip it, whichever you find best, to the bottom of the curve on the dress. I've got a few pins on here. So you can see that is pinned onto there. Now gather up from the bobbin thread again, pull the thread, and gather those stitches up until that armhole fits inside that sleeve. So you can see there we've got the pin at the bottom. Sorry about this, my bandage is showing on the film, but that just about fits in there. So just gather it until it all fits in there nice and neatly, and then you're just going to stitch all the way around. I'll stitch one so you can see it, and then I'll talk through the rest of it. So I'm going to start at one of the side seams here, because they're not actually gathered. So around the bottom is not gathered. Take the pin out. And then stitch over top of the gathers. It is a bit fiddly because it's only a small armhole. There we go, so that's one of the sleeves put in. So if I turn this dress now to the right side, you can see you've got the little dress with the armhole, with the little puff sleeve and the little frilled arm. So now the only other thing to do is put the other sleeve in, and then I've done for this little dress the yoke in that ochre colour. Now all you do for this basically is put the right sides together, stitch all the way around the top part there, all the way around the bottom, round until you come back to this part here, and then turn it the right way around and press it. That then goes onto the neck here as such, and stitch that on and then turn it under, and that is the neck part finished. And then you've got the little boots, which are very simple. Right sides together, stitch all the way around, same with the lining, all the way around, put one inside the other, stitch around the top, turn to the right side, and there you're finished. So that's how we do the little dress for Rula. If anybody's got any more problems, feel free to contact me on the website, email or Facebook, and I'll gladly try and help you. Thanks very much. Bye.